everyone, if you're new around here, my name is Hannah Martin. And today is a super exciting video. I'm showing you the rehabilitation centre at my workplace at Ballet, the German Centre. This is where I'm basically living most of my life at the moment during nutcracker season, and the facilities are amazing. It's actually a whole lot warmer than my home, so I spend most of my time here to stay warm as well as to work out, of course. This is what my day normally looks like. We come in here in the morning, come. So we've got all the Pilates balls here for progressive ballet technique. Usually I'm told to put my stuff in these cubby holes, but normally it kind of just gets... This is my home after all for now. In here I always say a lovely good morning to Esther. This is the office where all the plans happen. This is where they decide what I'm doing in my rehab.
Makeup plans.
Yes.
Right, I know.
Like decides all the tough workouts that I'm going to do for the day. Esther is my physio, rehab coach, strength coach, who's kind of working with me in this rehab process. Probably sick of me by now, but I love her and she's been working really hard with me. You've sent in questions, so I'm going to be asking her the questions this morning. You know what? We'll ask you the first question now. Let me find a good one.
I just want to point out it is nice and quiet because Hannah comes very early and it is early still for dancers. So normally there's lots of people working out in this gym.
What's the best way, in your opinion, to prevent injury during like a peak performance season? What things can dancers do?
The key really is preventing the majority of injuries for dancers. Bearing in mind that most injuries are overuse, so 80% of injuries for dancers. Similar to Hannah's injury, they are like niggles that maybe build up, little micro tears in a muscle or a tendon. Over time that becomes something that you just can't carry on with. You do get acute injuries as well, but a lot of the time they're overuse injuries. The main trigger is having a sudden increase in workload. It makes sense that you don't want to have these spikes in workload. Obviously performance periods are going to be busy. The key really is to make sure that you train well and build up in the right ways and train in the right ways that are going to protect you and prepare you for that performance, so that you don't suddenly reach rehearsal week or the full calls come and you're suddenly doing so much more than you've done for weeks. That type of situation puts you at a really high risk of getting injured. Even in, say, your less busy week, and putting in extra conditioning when you can. Then when you get to the busier weeks, prioritising recovery, really good nutrition, really good sleep, resting, maybe not doing all of the extra intense workouts, maybe doing some lower intensity, the level of conditioning.
Yes. That's why this is so important, even when we're not injured, to come in and make sure our strength is at a good level, so that we do prevent having those injuries, bring ourselves at a lower risk. Ever since I joined the company, I've loved having the Gerwood Centre here. I was working with Esther way before I had any injury.
We like jump enhancement program, didn't we? So
and I really felt like my jumps improved. I think it's helped me going into this rehab process to be really strong.
Hannah did a lot of prehab, as you probably saw. Hannah's workloads up to the day of surgery.
Let's get on to the tour. Should we start with my favourite thing? I love the cross trainer. Esther has a preference for the bike, the Watt bike, but I love the cross trainer. Don't ask me why. I know why. It's because I have one at home. That's why.
It's a nice, easy, free feeling. The bike is a little bit more intense, perhaps on the legs. The Watt bike is really clever because it gives us lots of data, wattage, and exactly what power, and we can create programs. So it's a little bit more like technical, but the cross trainer's fun.
Yeah. So yesterday we did a FTP, which was to kind of see where my stamina and my strength is at on the bike yesterday, which is basically 20 minutes of death. But we got through it. We can insert the clip of after that moment. How did I do, Esther?
Very good.
We can build. FTP, so if you're wondering, is it to do stamina? Was it?
A very big fitness.
I'm not going to be able to walk tomorrow. That doesn't matter. Okay.
20 minutes, as hard as you can.
You
I
can
didn't
do
want
this.
you to push too hard, having not been well.
So she had to hold me back a little bit. And then over here we actually do have a few extra bikes. In case we have a few dancers in at a time. Not during nutcracker season because everyone's really tired. This fan. This is what keeps you alive when you're on the bike and you're doing an FTP. Yesterday I forgot to turn it on. I was like, Esther, please turn on the fan. And she was bringing me water and everything. My true love is not this, it's the fan. I say that and I always complain about being cold, but in here it's really warm. It's good for our muscles and stuff.
So this trains ankle stability. Balance isn't where your weaknesses lie. It wasn't an essential part of your research.
Ligament reconstruction or something, this is probably what you'd use. When you're in the gym, they make it very tailored specific for your injury. Just the fact that I haven't used this means it's not specific to my injury, but then we have it there if there was ever a need and there's other dancers who need it. We got these new mats recently and I feel like Jones has had like a revamp. Like this is like, there's so much space.
Lots of new weights now. Kettlebells.
I don't even know if I can pick up that weight.
You could, because it's the same as the bar.
Oh, I can! Look at me go!
It's heavy ones.
Oh no, please no. So these are the weights.
They're not so scary.
But they're still growing on me. Me and these weights, Esther is helping me strengthen my relationship with them. Let's just say that. You're back from an injury. I'm not jumping, so I'm not getting all that shock absorption and blood pumping through those parts of my body that I need to jump. Keep that kind of flowing and that strength up so that when I get back to jump, it's not going to feel like, to make sure I'm nice and strong so that it prevents any injuries coming back. This is a great time for another question. There's a lot of questions relating to my particular rehab journey, and someone has asked how Hannah's persistence has helped her in the recovery of her foot. You know, it's a good and a bad thing sometimes.
Exactly, it's a good and a bad thing. You get people that are both ends of the spectrum, so you get people that lack motivation and have to be really kind of driven along, and then you get people the other end of the spectrum that you have to kind of hold them back a little bit and say, hang on, you know, we'll get there and that will be in a few weeks. All types of dancers on their journeys, and Hannah is definitely this end of the spectrum. We call it in physio like driving your bus. So some people, you're driving the bus for them, other people are very much driving their own bus, and that's Hannah. So often Hannah will be quite proactive in her program, so she'll come in and say like, oh, I quite like to have this like next week in my program. For the last week we've added more arabesque conditioning exercises into her like core section and her lower limb section. That's really nice when they kind of, dancers will come back with things they want to have as a focus, but generally her persistence has been a benefit to her recovery, and she has had loads of motivation and really wanted to push as hard as she can, and it's just been down to me to just put those boundaries there and say, this is when we're going to rise, this is when we're going to do single leg rise, this will be when we start jumping, this is when you go into the coaching.
I think it was week 4 after surgery. I was like, okay, so when are the points she's going back on? And she's like, hold the reins, we're not even back at the bar yet. I remember I came in, I was like, so when are we starting at the bar? I'm like, I can't walk, but I can stand. So at the bar, you don't need to be able to walk.
But also, when it's a rehab journey, we don't want to do everything at first. Like, we want to save some things. You don't run out of that energy.
When your injury is literally healing itself, you compensate so much. I noticed that, and then other things start to hurt. In this rehab process, it's really been managing other parts of my body. Sometimes I compensate and put way more weight on one leg, and then your body's like, what's going on?
You don't realise you can be putting like 80% more weight through the non-injured side without even realising you're doing it.
Yeah, in the end I had to limit how much standing I was doing. Without knowing it, always putting weight all on one leg. That's a lot of kind of weight going through one side of your body where naturally you should be distributing it. Okay, let's keep going.
One last thing I was going to say about Hannah's approach to rehab. She's the only dancer I've ever worked with that came up to me and said, Esther, can we negotiate my rehab? I think I could maybe do this week. She'll come in to me in the office when I'm writing a program and she'll be like, can we compromise on this?
I'm like, you say Saturday, I say Friday.
I'll consider it. So yeah, it's a negotiation.
You do work with me. You work with me. That's what I like, is she works with me. When everything in an injury situation, that's like really important to really collaborate and not compromise, but like plan and like happy in between where we're both happy with what we're doing. Carrying on. These are for like the step ups that we're, at the moment I'm doing all
I
those
thought you were going to
step-ups.
jump on it then.
I feel ready to jump, Esther! And sometimes I tease her, I'm like, okay, right, time for jumps.
Yeah, you're close now.
Yeah, we're almost there. This is my chair. This is the chair I normally dump my stuff on, because Esther said I have to put in the cubby hole, but sometimes I like to be a bit of a rebel. And I put it on this chair because I'm like, I live here, so it's okay. These are great.
Rows and presses, use them for assisted lunges.
Yeah. And then this is great. It was just doing like the hip exercises, just to hold her here, and we've got a little mirror there. I've spent a lot of time on this recently. We do all sorts of exercises, core workouts.
Yeah,
I'm going to be so strong after
Parts of the Pilates equipment. This is a Pilates arch. So we use that for mainly.
And then we do this like
strengthening.
I love this thing. I want one of these at home. And then this is the like a bit of a Pilates rack.
This is a Cadillac or a trap table.
I've been like learning quite a lot about Pilates in this time. I educate myself a bit on the exercises because I had no idea really how to use this before I got injured. So that's been like a nice experience. Vary the exercises because I've been doing a lot of strength with you, mixing that in with the Pilates style training as well. I think has been a really nice kind of balance.
Yeah, they complement each other really well. But when you're injured, it's such a good time to expand your knowledge.
And then here's the wobble board. We're only kind of just graduating to the wobble board now, which is great just to get that ankle stability back. I haven't put a lot of weight on this ankle for a while. When you wobble, you always think it was a bad thing as a dancer, but actually when wobbling is where you get the strength in those ligaments.
It's where you're learning, the muscles are learning to take you out of positions that aren't so balanced.
And so it's really important that I really strengthen all those tiny muscles in my foot, prevents any injuries in the future. Amazing. It's trampoline then.
The mini trampoline for building back into jumping, obviously not got as much impact because it's soft rather than hard.
I love these. It's the first time that I've really used a reformer properly. So we do a lot of rises on here. I love the reformer. One of my favourite things I've discovered in this process actually.
It's quite selective, isn't it? If you're using a turnout, you're using releve.
Exactly. Great way to feel like doing ballet without doing ballet. This I haven't actually used too much, so I don't actually know too much about this bit of equipment. Maybe today, maybe I can negotiate that in my plan. Who knows? Over here we have all of like the foam rollers, wobble boards, ladder things I do agility with. I don't know if you've seen my day in the life, but I was doing all sorts of agility stuff with Liv, who's actually behind the camera. She's been so good to say hi, Liv.
Hi!
A gyrotonics machine. Gyrotonics is one thing I do want to learn a little bit more about. I have never done gyrotonics before, but the dancers are often stuff like... That's actually quite good. Oh, I quite like that. Well, maybe I'll learn a bit more about that. And then down here, so this is where we get treatments. We get massage, soft tissue, and we get to see the physios. We've got 4 beds like this. Basically, we go to the office. If we need seeing, we book in. We do get attention when we need it, which is amazing. We've gone in rehearsal and something's twinged. We can come straight in here and get seen by the physios, because then we can get that attention that we need. And sometimes getting that immediate attention can stop an injury from being just like a small niggle to a serious injury. And sometimes it's like simple as just getting a soft tissue massage between a show that will stop us from getting a further injury. When I get onto these, I'm like, oh, I can relax for 5 minutes and then we need to get back up and do another workout. Liv gave me a really good soft tissue massage the other day. Squat rack. I'm still learning to love it. We're getting there, but there's all sorts of weights. We've got several different bars of shapes and sizes. I like the light one. We have all these steps and stuff. First few weeks of rehab, I basically was just doing isometric holds for hours on end. You do what you have to do in rehab. Currently under repair for the arms and stuff to build the upper body. Generally I find the boys use this more than the girls because they need to get super strong for lifting. I like these sort of spaces.
These are the mirrors.
Which sometimes I like to do my workouts and I'm like yes. Dancers were always working with a mirror, but obviously in here it's not as important. I'm sure S has caught me a few times doing Giselle. Oh, and then in here is kitchen. This is where I put my lunch. This is what I mean, I literally live here. Got my salad for later. Coffee. This is where my love for coffee began and ended because I haven't really had it in weeks. I got the flu and then I couldn't bring myself to have coffee again, if I'm honest. One of my favourite places, the Normatec, so you can lie on here and these boots inflate. What would you say, like help with lactic acid?
Yeah, I was gonna say they create pressure, hydrostatic pressure.
There you go.
Lymphatic drainage.
Thank you. She's the one who knows what she's talking about. Oh, one more thing that I haven't shown you. Run this way. I'm going to show you the pool room. So the pool's still under repair, but there's a pool in there. You can do like ballet in the pool and stuff like that. So it's like a hydrotherapy. And there's also ice baths in there. It's another little area of the rehabilitation centre. That is my little tour. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, comment them down below. We can do a part 2. Esther has deserted me. Sometimes dancers, like we say, have to come in and they need to see physios immediately, and you saw that just happen then. But that's kind of how this works in here. We get help if and when we need it. She's back, but
To check someone before they go back to class,
Yeah.
I have to let Alice have know for availability.
so busy. Last question. I know we haven't done that many questions, but maybe we can do another video. Esther's very kindly said she'll show up on the channel. There's so many. We'll have to do another video, guys. How is Hannah's progress? That's a good one.
Really good. I'm happy with you.
Happy physio, happy dancer.
Your consultant was happy,
Yeah.
so that always means a lot.
Yeah.
He's the one that did the surgery. really reassuring. You're really impressed with the strength in your feet. A relatively simple surgery to recover from. Nothing has been messed around with too much.
Yeah.
Just extra bone has been taken away. After the immediate risks from the surgery itself and any inflammation.
We're 2 months in now.
Range is really good.
Yes.
I'm really happy with that, and obviously Hannah is really happy with that.
I think I've got a little bit more range now because obviously a bone has been removed, so that's super exciting. I just want to say thank you so much for being part of this video, and thank you for just like sticking with me throughout this process. Yeah, I know. We're still on the journey, but
And then you still have to come in.
oh, no, of course. No, I thought I was coming in for coffee. I think I'll definitely be in here long beyond this journey is ended because I do love cross training. Is something I love to do. Because of my gymnastics training, I always think it's so important to keep your body strong, not just in the studio, but also through doing stuff like this. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new around here, make sure to click the subscribe button and comment down below if you have any more questions, and maybe I can do another video with all this and we might sit down. This has been a long video, and if you have made it to the end, make sure to comment this emoji so that we know who the true motivators are. Thank you so much, Liv, also behind the camera.
Thanks, Liv.
See you very soon in the next one. Remember, do you know my end catchphrase? Do you remember it?
Make it happen.
That's it. Dream big, make it happen. We have to say it together.
Dream big
and make it happen. Yes!